Hello everyone, thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. My goal on this channel is to help people who enjoy traveling to travel well on a modest budget, and particularly if you're traveling as a family with kids. If that's something that interests you, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss being notified of each of my new videos. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the reasons that we chose to visit Disneyland in California for our upcoming trip rather than going to Walt Disney World in Florida, which was what we had originally planned. I've been planning a Disney trip for a long time now, and the purpose of this trip is a celebratory trip to celebrate my daughter Megan graduating from high school. She's actually graduating early. She's graduating this month. She's been working extremely hard. She started doing school virtually, first because she had to because the schools were closed back in March of 2020, but our family opted to do school virtually for all of 2020-2021 school year and the 2021-2022 school year. But Megan's worked very hard, and she actually was able to finish all of her required classes very quickly and do very well in a virtual environment. So to celebrate her hard work and to celebrate her graduating from high school, and because even before the pandemic, I had no intention of having a graduation party for Megan. We would just much rather take a trip to celebrate important events and milestones and holidays and birthdays and things like that. We would always rather travel than have any kind of party. We're introverts, and parties just aren't our thing. So I think I first booked something with Walt Disney World way back in April of 2021. And then it was during the summer, well, even initially, I think, I was debating about whether that was a good idea or not. Go back and watch this video, which was quite popular, in which I talk about the dilemma we were having. I posted that last summer about whether we should go to Walt Disney World or change it to Disneyland, or even we were considering a Disney cruise. And the decision-making process, and I was debating about whether it was safe and all of that. Now, I can tell you right away, we definitely still ruled out a Disney cruise, even though actually pricing it out, a Disney cruise would have been the most economical option for us. Taking a Disney cruise, even a 7-day Disney cruise in January, would have been less expensive than either the trip we're taking to Disneyland or the trip we had planned to go to Walt Disney World. But there are some risks to cruising for us. I feel like the cruise lines are doing a very good job. So I don't mean risk of contracting the virus on the ship, although that is a possibility, especially during meal times, because they're all inside and everybody would be en masse then. That does make me a little nervous. And the main dining room experience with the rotational dining on a Disney cruise is such an integral part of the experience of taking a Disney cruise that I really wouldn't have wanted to miss that. So that's a concern. But for us, it's more of a concern of the risks associated with the testing, specifically testing at the port. And I made a video all about why you need to be concerned about that. If you're getting tested at the cruise port, and Disney Cruise Line is one of the cruise lines that is requiring everyone to be tested at the cruise port, and somebody in your traveling party tests positive, that could be a real issue. And I talk about that in that video, but for us, that would put us at risk of being quarantined in a hotel for an extended period of time in Florida. And that's something that we would have to pay for upfront right away. There's a difference, you have to understand, there's a difference when you cruise between if you test positive when you're on the cruise, in which case the cruise line's gonna cover all that and getting you home and all of that. Or if you test positive related to your taking a cruise, but not yet on the cruise ship. If you test positive either before you get on the cruise ship or after you get off the cruise ship, that's not the cruise line's responsibility anymore. That's on you. And so unless you were able to somehow find, secure, and afford the extremely expensive COVID cruise cover type travel insurance, which is very difficult to get in the United States, you're going to be on the hook for the very expensive costs of quarantining and all that, which could be thousands of dollars. That was the main reason that we ruled out a cruise pretty easily. Okay, so let's talk more about why did we choose Disneyland over Walt Disney World. This video is going to be broken down into 3 sets of 4 things. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the 4 reasons we decided to switch from Walt Disney World to Disneyland for our vacation. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the 4 reasons that we're sad that we had to switch. And the third thing I'm going to talk about is the 4 reasons that we're happy that we switched. The number 1 reason, unfortunately, was cost. Now, our Disneyland trip is still pretty expensive, but basically what I mean is the cost of how I envisioned our Walt Disney World trip and what I would have actually been able to afford were very different things. The vision I had in my mind was I really wanted this to be a very special, more luxurious, relaxing, lengthy, everything we've always wanted in a Disney trip. That's what I wanted our Walt Disney World trip to be for Megan's graduation. That would have involved, I wanted it to be at least 10 nights long, and that's because I wanted at least 6 park days, 1 day in Hollywood Studios, 1 day in Animal Kingdom, 2 days in Magic Kingdom, 2 days in Epcot, and then I wanted a break, basically like 2 park days and then a break day, and 2 park days and then a break day. And I wanted to be able to do other things. I wanted to go to Disney Springs. I wanted to take Megan to the photo studio, the PhotoPass studio at Disney Springs, and let her get her senior pictures taken there. I had actually paid for a special private session with a PhotoPass photographer to take her pictures on Main Street, and that's not going to happen now, so that's kind of a bummer. I wanted to have time to relax and enjoy the pools. We have never gotten to use our resort pool when we've stayed at a Walt Disney World resort hotel because we never have enough time. I wanted to go to the new Cirque du Soleil show at Disney Springs, Drawn to Life. I was very excited about that. Side note, I was having an issue about that because we are a little concerned about going to entertainment at any of the Disney parks right now because of the crowds being inside. So I'm not sure if we would have done that or not, but that would have been an additional expense. And I wanted to stay at a deluxe resort. Megan's choice, because I said, if you could stay at any resort at Walt Disney World, where would you want to stay? She wanted to stay at the Polynesian. And I wanted to make that happen for her. But the Polynesian is a fortune. Okay? And so then I changed our reservation so many times, I can't even tell you guys. I had us booked at different times at the Polynesian. I had us booked at Beach Club. I had us booked at one point in one of the new family suites so we could have the 3 beds at, I think it's All-Star Movies. Is that right? I had us booked at Port Orleans French Quarter. I had us booked at all of those different resorts at different times in this process in the last year. I really, really wanted us to each have our own bed. That was really important to me. And so you're limited in the ability to do that with 3 people who are all adult size. Basically, there's those family suites that I talked about at the one at our All-Star Movies, I think it is, and certain deluxe resorts or DVC villas, which are even more expensive. And unfortunately, those are very expensive. At one point, I had the same trip booked and I changed from Beach Club down to Port Orleans French Quarter. Just changing that hotel, leaving everything else the same, the dates, the number of nights, the tickets, and all that, was a difference of over $3,000. That's crazy. So I understand the benefits of the deluxe resort experience. The big thing on a deluxe resort is proximity to the parks. I mean, because in the case of Beach Club, you can walk to Epcot. You could take the boat or walk to Epcot and then take the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios. You know, it's the proximity to the parks. That's what, and the theming, really, is what you're paying for at the Disney Deluxe resorts. But that's insane that there's a $3,000 difference between this deluxe resort and this moderate resort. I just couldn't swallow it. And I couldn't afford it. I could not afford to have us stay at a deluxe resort. And the thing that really messed me up was I was counting on Walt Disney World having a hotel promotion while we were there. If you've been going to Walt Disney World for many, many years like we have, you know, I've been going to Walt Disney World since I was 10 years old, so 40 some years, you know that they almost always, pretty much always, have some kind of a hotel promotion running. There will be some kind of hotel discount going on all the time. Well, they haven't had that really at all since Walt Disney World reopened after closing at the beginning of the pandemic. They very rarely will have any kind of promotion, and they're very, very limited. Like, for example, the last thing they had was they had promotions for Florida residents, annual pass holders, and Disney Visa card holders in December, which I am a Disney Visa card holder. And they did have a hotel promotion for us, but it was only for 12 days in the middle of December. It's like, that's not very much use to me, especially because that's not when I'm going. And most of the time when they have promotions, they're like months long. They'll be like 2-3 months long. And, you know, you have all this flexibility and stuff, and they just haven't had any promotions like that. I mean, I kept waiting for a promotion so that this would take a big chunk of the cost of my trip off, and it never came. And I finally asked in like October, and the cast member I spoke to on that particular call, because I've talked to them many times, said, I don't think you should wait because I don't think it's coming. And they always have hotel promotions in January. They just don't have any promotions. And so that really messed me up because I was waiting for a promotion that never happened. So be aware of that too. It's very hard to get any deals on Disney World resorts right now. If I tweaked it more, I mean, even at one point, Megan was saying, Mom, we can skip going to Animal Kingdom, which probably would have been fine, honestly, because Expedition Everest, her favorite ride, is going to be closed for like months-long refurbishment when we're on our trip anyway. But we still haven't gotten to ride Flight of Passage. We didn't get to ride it on our last trip because the waits were too long and we couldn't get a fast pass. So that would have been kind of a bummer. But what was basically happening was I was going to have to alter the trip so much so that it would be so far off of my initial vision of what I had in mind for the trip that it was just bumming me out too much. I had to compromise on the hotel. We wouldn't have been able to afford to stay in a deluxe hotel. I wasn't even sure if we'd be able to afford to stay in a moderate hotel, honestly. We would have had to make the trip significantly shorter, like way shorter than I wanted to. We wouldn't have had any rest days, wouldn't have been able to go to Cirque du Soleil, wouldn't have been able to go to Disney Springs, probably wouldn't have gotten to use the pools. You know, it would have just been park, 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 and then go home. And that's what it would have had to be. And it would have just been a major disappointment because it wouldn't be the trip I had in mind for what I had envisioned. And so that's how cost became the biggest factor for me. I could get a better experience at Disneyland with 5 park days is a lot of days at Disneyland. And that's what we're going to be doing. And I could get us a nice hotel where we each have our own bed at Disneyland for less money than it was going to cost me for a moderate hotel where we were going to have to share beds and a very condensed experience at Walt Disney World. Okay, the second reason that we decided to change to Disneyland from Walt Disney World is safety. And at the time I made the switch, it looked like this wasn't really a factor because cases in Florida were actually way down and were really low. And it was actually way better in Florida than it was here in Wisconsin. However, since then, it has now switched around again. And now I'm very, very happy that we are going to Disneyland instead of Walt Disney World from a safety perspective. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, cases in the area around Walt Disney World in Florida are skyrocketing and climbing again very, very fast. And California has a mask mandate in place. They've just, for like the whole LA area, now put another mask mandate in place. And Disneyland in California already still had a mask mandate in place. I think Walt Disney World did too, but I just have a little more confidence in the people in California and in the LA area about mask wearing than I do with what I've seen for Florida. So that was one thing, was the difference between Florida and California, which I talked about in that other video. Okay, and then I talked about this a little bit in my last video where I announced our Disneyland trip, the difference for dining. There were a lot of restaurants and things we wanted to eat at Walt Disney World. I mean, I had all my restaurants booked and everything at Walt Disney World, but they're all inside. As opposed to Disneyland, where almost every restaurant is outside, or you can eat outside. At Walt Disney World, because of the tropical weather and all the rain they get and how hot and humid it is, there's almost no place that you can eat outside at Walt Disney World. And pretty much every restaurant we wanted to eat at that I had dining reservations at was inside. And we just still do not feel safe dining inside. We just don't. That's one of the riskiest things you can do is dine inside and eat inside restaurants. And there's just no way. We just did not feel comfortable with that at all. Then another factor was the buses. At Walt Disney World, we were going to have to be taking bus transportation, both from the airport to the resort and then to get around the resort. You're in a bus a lot. I mean, in the Skyliner, we might have a Skyliner to ourselves. On the boats, you probably have good airflow and stuff like that. But if we were going to be staying at Port Orleans French Quarter, for example, which is probably what would have happened if we had gone there, there's no way to get to anything. Well, you can get to Disney Springs on the boat, but you can't get to any of the theme parks except on a bus or your own car, which we weren't going to do. So we would have been riding a bus a lot, and that's, again, a close, confined space where I'm always worried about are people wearing their masks right and things like that. In California, we're not ever going to need to ride a bus. We're going to be in our own car, in a rental car for the first part of the trip, and then we're going to be on foot. Disneyland in California is a very outdoors experience. It's much more outside than Walt Disney World is, which seems strange, but it is. Okay, and then crowds. I went back and forth about this. Even though I expected Walt Disney World to be more crowded than Disneyland, there is something to be said for your ability to space out at Walt Disney World because it's so much bigger, over such a bigger amount of land area, and the pathways are wider and things like that. Disneyland can be a little bit crunched in spots. So I am a little bit worried about that. But I'm hoping that because of the days of the week and the time of the year that we're there, that won't be too much of a problem. So that kind of sums up everything about safety. Okay, the third reason we decided to switch was because of the school schedule. Originally, what I had booked at Walt Disney World, we were going to not come back until later. We weren't going to leave until after the current semester ended. I think that's what it was. And we were going to come back what would have been into second semester starting, which would have meant that Ben's been done with school, his first semester classes, for quite a while, since well before Christmas. And Megan's graduating. But Ben is supposed to start his second semester classes, and I think what I originally had booked, he would have missed like the first 3, 4, 5 days of second semester. And so that wasn't real great. And also, by going to Disneyland, even though we added some days ahead of time going to other things in Los Angeles, it's still going to be a shorter trip than what I had planned for Walt Disney World. So no matter what the dates are, it's less time of missing school overall anyway. And basically what's going to happen now is Megan's just working really hard to get all of her stuff done before we leave. It's basically only the days that her high school has scheduled for finals that she's not going to be here, and she will just have done her finals ahead of time because she can, because she's a virtual student. And so I think it's only a difference of like 3 days or something like that. Okay, and then the fourth reason that we decided to switch from Walt Disney World to Disneyland is because it's smaller, and we were thinking about it from the perspective of walking. Megan's a trooper. Ben does get tired, and he, when we have to do a lot of walking, he's probably not getting, like I said before, he's probably not getting enough exercise because he's been doing virtual school and been home all this time. The footprint of Disneyland is so much smaller than that of Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World is the size of the city of San Francisco. It's humongous. Disneyland is 2 little parks separated by about, you can walk from here to there in a minute. Downtown Disney is right attached. It's all connected. When you look at it on Google Maps, you can see it's basically just like a giant big block in the middle of Anaheim, and it's got city all around it. It's very confined and in a very limited amount of space. It's much easier to get from park to park. You can just walk there in a few seconds. It's not, you're not having to get on a bus or some other form of transportation to go from park to park. And the parks themselves are more compact, and the distance between our hotel and the parks is not very much. And so this is where the issue of whether or not I'm going to need to rent an ECV or a mobility scooter comes in. It's really going to depend on how frequently I can sit down and rest, because I can walk, but again, I can only walk very slowly and for a very limited distance and a very limited duration of time. When you're at a theme park, you're getting on a ride and you're sitting on the ride, and then you get off and you walk to the next ride, or you walk to the next thing you're going to do, or you walk to the next restaurant. So you're never, hopefully, not walking too far, too much. But Megan really feels strongly that I really should rent the ECV. The reason I'm hesitant about it is just because it can be kind of a pain to have to get in and out of it at a theme park, which I discovered when we were at Busch Gardens last summer. But I think she's probably right. I think the pain I would experience and the swelling I would experience in my ankle might be too much. And so this might be another thing where I might like try it the first day. And if I'm like, oh, no way, I need the ECV, then I might get the ECV, the next day. I have two options for a mobility scooter at Disneyland. I can either rent on a first come, first serve basis at the entrance to the parks. I can rent a mobility scooter from Disney. I want to say it's $50 a day, I think. But they actually charge you $70 and you get the $20 deposit back when you return it. I think that's how it is. And then you use it just for that day and return it like I did at other places. Or I can rent the whole time we're there from an outside company and they'll deliver it to my hotel. And then I would be able to actually use the scooter to get from the hotel to the parks too. So I have a couple of options, but I've budgeted about $300 for a mobility scooter in case I do need it. And now I'm going to talk about the 4 reasons we're sad that we switched, and then the 4 reasons we're happy that we switched. Here are the 4 reasons that we're disappointed or sad about the switch from Walt Disney World to Disneyland. The first reason is because we're going to be missing the 50th anniversary celebration stuff at Walt Disney World. There's a lot going on, special stuff to see at Walt Disney World for the 50th anniversary. One of the things I was really excited about was seeing all those 50 golden statues that they've put around the parks. We wanted to find all 50 of them and take our picture by them and stuff like that. And also special 50th anniversary treats. And I was really excited about the way they're lighting up the things at the park. There's a term for it. I can't think of what it is. They're lighting up Spaceship Earth, really cool. And the Tree of Life at Animal Kingdom and the castle and things like that. I was really excited about seeing all of that 50th anniversary stuff. So that's something that we're disappointed about. Another reason we're really disappointed is we were really excited about going to the Festival of the Arts. Megan and I especially have really been wanting to go to the Festival of the Arts at Walt Disney World, which is held at Epcot in January and February every year, for a long time. It's a really cool festival, and I really do want to experience that. And so I really do hope to go to the Festival of the Arts sometime in the future, because we're disappointed that was one of the main reasons we were planning this trip for January, besides being for Megan's graduation. The third reason is because of all the different restaurants and dining experiences that we had booked that we're not going to get to do now. There's definitely much better options and more options for table service dining at Walt Disney World than there is at Disneyland. And we were really, really looking forward to all the restaurants we were going to be eating at. I had a reservation at Space 220, which is really hard to get reservations for right now, and I had to give that up. And so we're very disappointed about missing out on the dining experiences that we were going to have at Walt Disney World. But like I talked about earlier, we don't feel comfortable eating inside. So if we'd gone there, we would have just been nervous and probably eating as fast as we could to get out of there anyway. So, okay, and then the fourth reason we're sad is because of the new to us rides that we still have not gotten to ride at Walt Disney World. There's nothing new to us at Magic Kingdom. We still have not ridden Flight of Passage in Animal Kingdom. We have not ridden Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios. We have not ridden Ratatouille. I mean, that's very new at Epcot in the France Pavilion. And we have not experienced Rise of the Resistance or the Millennium Falcon ride. What is that called? Words, things are escaping me. We haven't experienced Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at all. But we will get to experience that at Disneyland because it's there too. So we're a little sad about some of those things. Okay, now, because we're sad about missing these things, I am determined to still get us to Walt Disney World before the 50th anniversary celebrations end. Now, the 50th anniversary celebration started October 1st of 2021, and they last for 18 months. So basically, we have until April of 2023 to go to the 50th anniversary stuff. Now, I talked about this, I think, in an earlier video, but we don't know where Megan's going to college yet. And so where she goes to college and whatever that college's academic calendar is going to determine when we would be able to go to Walt Disney World. But I want to go in November or December of 2022 or January of 2023. So then these things that I'm sad about, we would get to experience. Really hoping the pandemic is significantly better before then. So that, like the inside dining and things wouldn't be a concern anymore. We're just going to have to wait and see what Megan's availability is like, and then we'll decide. And if that means we don't get to go to the Festival of the Arts because we don't go in January, that's okay. Because if we go in November or December, then we'd get to do the Festival of the Holidays, which I also really want to do. So it would work out either way. So I'm pretty much going to be concentrating on all of 2022 on trying to pay for that trip. But I'm giving up my dream that I talked about earlier in the video about how I wanted it to be so long and stay at a deluxe resort. And I mean, like, if somehow I can afford it, great. Or if they have a promotion, which they didn't have now, great. But I might have to just really pare it down. Okay, here are the 4 reasons that we are happy that we are going to Disneyland instead of Walt Disney World. First of all, we haven't been there in 10 years. We haven't been to Disneyland since 2012. That's a long time. We haven't been to California since 2012. So we're really excited about going because we haven't been there in such a long time. And because the kids were so little when they were there last time Andrew was 15, but Megan and Ben were pretty young and don't remember it very well at all. We're very excited about going to Disneyland instead of Walt Disney World because Disneyland has a whole bunch of rides that Walt Disney World doesn't. For example, they have the Matterhorn. They have Snow White's. It was Snow White's. They changed it. They reimagined it recently. I can't remember what it's called now. Pinocchio's Daring Journey. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. The Alice in Wonderland ride. They have a bunch of dark rides. The Storyland Canal Boats, which I love. Casey Jr. Circus Train. Cars Land is only in California, which is one of the most amazing themed lands that Disney has anywhere. Radiator Springs Racers, and the new Avengers Campus. All of that is only at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, and none of that is at Walt Disney World. So we're very excited about those things. Which brings me to the third one, which was Avengers Campus and the Web Slingers ride. That's new to Disneyland, hasn't been open very long. Excited to see that. Ben especially is going to be very excited about that. I know Andrew would too, but he's not going, so... Okay, and then the 4th thing that we're happy about going to is, let me know if you agree with me on this, but Disneyland has better version than Walt Disney World of some classic rides. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, better at Disneyland. Pirates of the Caribbean, far better at Disneyland. Space Mountain, no contest. I don't even ride Space Mountain at Walt Disney World anymore. Way better at Disneyland. The versions of those rides are far superior at Disneyland than the versions that are at Walt Disney World. So those are the reasons that we're very excited about going to Disneyland. What about you guys? What are your thoughts on this? Have you been to both Disneyland and Walt Disney World? Do you have a strong opinion about which one you like better? Let me know in the comments. Be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss all of our other upcoming videos from our trip to Los Angeles and Disneyland. Thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you're having a great day and safe travels. Thank you.